Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm out and about in amongst fields of lavender. So where am I? Am I in France? I mean, every time I think of rows of gorgeous lavender, I always think of France. But no, I'm actually only half an hour from home. This wonderful place is just north of Loch Leven, near Milnathort, effectively just off the M90, which is the main motorway heading from the Forth Bridges up towards Perth. It's really a good little place to come and visit. But maybe not so if you want to make videos and do proper photography. So we want the far distance in focus. Check inside.
Let's go running. Let's go running.
So because of the Instagrammers and parents wanting to photograph their children in amongst all this wonderful lavender, I've moved away to where it's a little bit quieter, a bit more rustic really, but it's at the top of a hill here, so it'll be quite limited perspective. I'm not sure what's over the hill. I'm going to have a look over the hill first, and then maybe come back to this point here. So rather than photograph a row, which is kind of like this, looking up the way or down the way, I'm going to go across towards the hills in the background and the nice house here, put that in. So I moved over to this area to get a little bit of peace because there was so much noise where I was and movement of people. And as soon as I got here, the tour group came through this way and started doing all their stuff around here. So the image I wanted that direction, there's people sitting in it just now. There was people behind me doing all sorts of antics, and I can show you some of that just now on the video, and making a lot of noise. So I didn't really want that noise on the recording. But they've gone now. I'm ignoring the people over there. I'm going to photograph the house with the lavender in the foreground, and it's slightly overexposed. The sky's kind of getting burnt out. I'm just using the viewfinder to get the best exposure. 2-second timer. And it looks okay, but the sky's kind of burnt out. So I'm going to use a filter. So there's a little adapter on the front of this camera, a 45 to 52 millimeter ring. And that allows me to put on my old filter system that I had from years and years ago. And I bought some new ones as well from Cookin. So I've got a nice Grad ND, and I'm able to bring the sky down a little bit. I could do the obvious and take multiple exposures, but I just wanted to show that you can actually get fairly cheap filters, and filters for the smaller lens sizes. And guess what? It's not a case system that magnetically sticks to the front that costs 300 odd pounds for a series. No. Let's not go that far. I'm getting more noise coming from the side, and they're a long way away. There's a certain type of people that make a lot of noise. So just bring this in. That's made a difference already. That's nice. Take the picture. It looks a little bit better, but what I will do is I'll bracket as well, just to be sure. So I'm just going to reset this a little bit, get a little bit more sky in there, slightly wider maybe, a bit wider shot, a bit more of the lavender. And for some reason I'm now really overexposed, so put that to 0 and bring my ISO back down to about 200. So I'm guessing, I've set the bracket to 1-stop increments, so I'm guessing I might have actually been already overexposing. So let's just see what I get. 1, 2, 3, and then the images are on here. So I should be able to see, get the image. I'm not seeing a difference in there at all. So I'm trying this again and realised I made a mistake, and the bracketing was for flash. So I've now got it for auto exposure. So it should now, 1, 2, 3. So I've got 3 different exposures quite clearly coming up on the screen. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 3 exposures. There's 1 stop in each. That's quite a difference. So my view this way now isn't clear. So I'm going to spin the camera around, put it on nice. Well, I've got a lovely cloud, beautiful cloud now. So I'm wondering if I want to be a bit higher to be able to see more of the lavender as I point down the way. So let's have a wee look. And the beauty of modern cameras is you get that balance on the inside, it tells you if you're level or not. Because with a stigmatic eye, or stigmatism, I always tend to put things at an angle. So it's really good to be able to have that in the camera. So I'm going to get that to expose about right there. 1, 2, 3. The image just comes up. So I've got quite a bright area and the cloud looks good as well. And that's even using this. Now I'm going to take that off again and I'll explain in a second why. And I have another go. Set it up again. So I'm focusing basically middle of the frame. I'm just refocusing on the row just in front of the one that I'm at. I'm on, should be on F10, I'm on F11, I want to be on, F11 should be, and I'm on F10, so I'm on F11 now. 200 ISO because it's overcast, and it's a cheap lens. It doesn't bring in as much light. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I've got that image. The only thing I'm not happy about it is it's not balanced very well. I got a big tree over there, a hill over there, but the tree's higher than the hill, so it doesn't look as good as it could do. And why did I say I wanted to try without the filter as well? And that's because, although it's a good quality filter, the problems that you can get with filter is that you're photographing through a cheaper product than your lens, although this is a fairly cheap lens, and you can get reflections as well. So when that's there, the light can be hitting and bouncing off, and I might not quite see the reflections just now. I might see it later when on the computer, so it's best to have a look just now and do it both ways. Not look this out, but try both ways and hope for the best. What I've done now is I've changed my lens again. So I put the 7 Artisan's 12mm on, which is a 2.8 lens. It's set to about f4 just now. And what I can do is I can adjust the f-stop with this little wheel, take it up to about f8, and then it gets quite dark, which is what I didn't want, but the depth of field is far better. So I'm taking the picture and checking focus by zooming in and going, nah, it's not bad there, not bad there, it's a bit poor. So I'm just going to adjust the focus again. Best to do it through the viewfinder, use the plus mechanism where I want to be focused, which is a bit higher into the flowers. Focus on the flowers in the foreground, thereabouts, just beyond the foreground. Take the image, then have a look at it on the screen. In fact, it's better to look through here in this light. And what am I seeing? Zoom in. So that all looks in focus at the foreground, and then the background is nice and blurry. Let's go and discuss the camera. So I said in a previous video that I would discuss the reasoning behind getting the Nikon ZFC, and you might wonder why I would get a camera like this, because my other camera is a Nikon D850. It's regarded as one of the, if not the best SLR, DSLR camera that you can get. 45 megapixels plus, all the bells and whistles, fantastic lenses. I've got the trinity of 2.8 lenses, and then I'm using this. Well, the reason being is quite simple, that you will be aware if you watch my videos that I've not been 100% well. I've had a COVID ME reaction, which has given me a form of long COVID, and I was very ill for a long time, and I mean really very ill. Not as very ill as someone in hospital and up with drips and so forth, but very ill for me, not able to do quite so much. But I had good days and I could get out and do some photography. But that photography was with my phone only, because carrying a heavy camera just wasn't going to happen. I was physically and mentally weakened by this condition. I couldn't carry this bag that you've seen me with full of the DSLR kit. It was just too heavy, and the tripods and then the video stuff to go with it, it wasn't going to happen. Even just doing one photography and not videoing it, it just wasn't happening. But I still had that urge to take pictures. So the iPhone 13 Pro Plus takes really good images, but not good enough for a big screen. Nice images for the phone, for WhatsApp, for Facebook, but that's all. I needed something else, and I'd seen for a couple of years now, I think it is, the ZFC, and I knew just by the look of it, it was a lightweight camera. It does look a little bit cheap, a little bit plasticky. The lens is most definitely plasticky. I added the small rig frame with the grip to it, and I instantly gave it a little bit more solidness feel to it, which is a lot better than it was. But what drew me to it? The lightness, yes. The mirrorless side of it, not necessarily, but yeah, it was nice to try the mirrorless system. But what I really liked was the top half, the dials. Now, you probably saw that I had the Fujifilm X-T4, or was it X-T3, a couple of years ago, and I did like the camera, I liked the setup. I just wasn't 100% happy with the images it was giving me. So I got rid of it. It was a very expensive camera for what I was using. And this is not very expensive. In fact, I actually made the comment at my club saying it was cheap. And somebody was, cheap. I said, yeah, it's only £1,000 compared to a lot of cameras, £2,000 to £3,000. That's what I mean by cheap, not £40 or £50. I'm going to stop just now. So yeah, this camera is very similar to an old Nikon that I've got as part of a collection, and I've been trying to use as well, an old FE or FM, I can't remember now which one it is, but it's very, very similar on the top, and you've got your ISO here, your shutter speed, and the exposure control at the side there. So everything's manual, and the reason being is when you get into a menu system, it can get quite complicated, especially if your brain is not working as properly as it should, which is what happens with ME, and especially with, let's say, long COVID, you get this brain fog. A lot of people have comments on brain fog these days. Oh, I couldn't think properly because I've got brain fog. I don't think they really understand just how bad it can be. For me, a little while ago when I was really ill, it was more like brain treacle, and it was just awful. The thoughts just couldn't come out. You couldn't put two and two together. It was horrible. So trying to use a camera wasn't going to be easy, but I was trained on the old-fashioned camera system of dialing it in. In fact, you didn't dial in and change the ISO. You had one ISO, and that was what the film was that went in the back of the camera. So it's good that you can actually adjust the ISO, but you got the film, the speed there, and the f-stop. So the f-stop is a wheel and a little button in there. Or it's slightly different with the other lenses. So we've got the TT Artisan, no it isn't, it's the 7 Artisans, 12mm, and it's got a clickless f-stop, which is great for videoing, and it's purely manual, so manual focus, and that is the same as this little lens here, which is down as NONIKKOR, and it's from Hong Kong, made in China, and came in relatively cheap. I think it was £135, including the postage from Hong Kong. And it has a lovely little system in here where if I go to, say, F4, it's green, and there's green markers, and you can line up what is going to be in focus between those points. That's what it is in theory. Trying it out just now wasn't quite working that way. But what you do is you look carefully with the focus with the camera and make sure what you're getting is sharp in the right places at the right time. But these two are f2.8, and they're really, really giving me a lot of light. And I think the quality is okay as well. We'll see what the quality is like when I start to show the pictures. But that's the reason why I got this camera, is because I've not been well and I wanted a small, lightweight camera that can go around my neck if necessary and not drag me down. And even carrying it in this bag with other bits and pieces, it's doable for a short distance, especially the car park's just over there. It takes me no time at all to get here and can take the bag off and do what I need to do. So yeah, what's the negatives about this camera is the lens that comes with it is f3.5 to 6.3 it says, but as soon as you go to say 50 millimeters, it's going to be the 6.3, and it's really dark, really, really dark, and you're having to use compensation at the side, or decrease the speed, or increase the ISO, and that's not really working for me. There are lots of Z lenses, and I'm quite sure I will get a Z lens at some point, but I don't think I'm going to be going up to a proper Z7 or Z8 anytime soon. They're just far, far too expensive. I'm going to stick with one of these and be happy about it. It does have an articulating lens, so that comes right out to here. It turns right round for the old Instagram sort of thing, of videoing yourself for a vlog like this. Swing it round and you've got the screen on the back, but the best of it is you've got a solid place on the back when you put it to that position there. Now, in the last video I was having problems. I don't know if it showed it clearly enough, but every time I went to point to the screen it blanked out, and I thought it was a problem with the screen. I think I said in the video, I think there's a problem with the camera. No problem with the camera, it was me. There's a sensor just in here for when you put it up to your face. I was constantly getting that wrong. There's a button there that you adjust to stop that happening. So you can set it for just the lens, the viewfinder here on the screen, or you can have it cutting out as you go. That is my ZFC, and I have this place to myself now. I've just been chatting to the owner, and he's saying make the most of it while you can. So I'm going to go back to where I started and take a couple of images where the lavender is at its best. See you soon. So I'm going to start off with the kit lens. Got a plane going over just now. Yep. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you do, where you set up, when you set up, you're going to get somebody in the picture, which I have. Now, what I can do if I've got somebody, one person in the picture, is if she moves around, I can get two images, blend them together, and have nobody in them. Remember to pop the lens out. There we go. That's nice. That is nice. So I want to adjust my f-stop. That's the problem I've got just now, is it's too low. So adjust the f-stop to, we're going to go past my usual f8, I'm learning. It should be f11. And focus in the middle, and it's really dark now because of that. So I could take the speed down. There's very little wind, so that should be okay. Take the first picture. Then I can check what's in focus using the screen, the zoom on the inside. And you know something? I'm not happy with that. I wonder if it's my eyes. Ah, right. Haha. It helps if the diopter is in the right position. Then you can see if things are in focus. So the far distance is in focus. So the foreground is a bit out. So I'm going to take the picture again. Take the picture. Now check it with the diopter correct. So do that. Zoom in. That looks okay. So I've got my NONIKKOR on, and oh, the difference is incredible. It's massively too bright. So I'm going to take that to f11, look again, way too bright. I'm on 100, I can get my speed right up now, right up, let's see, he says, up to, I can get up to 250th a second. I can zoom in to see what's in focus. And I'm focusing just in front. It's a much shallower depth of field, much shallower. Even though it's f11, I'm not getting the same depth of field that's on the image. Let's zoom in on that. I'm getting no depth of field at all with this lens, none at all, which is fine. That's not too bad. So I'm going to take it to f16. I'm going to have to increase the ISO a little bit. I'm going to reduce the speed because it's really quite dark now. I'm going to check my focus again. Zoom in using the plus. I can see bees and everything there. It's really windy. 1, 2, and do that. So I'm going to show you. My focus is on this point here, and everything else is pretty much out of focus. So what I'm going to do now is focus right to the middle of just where the ground rises and get that in focus. Literally on the rise. I'm focusing on the rise now. And take the picture. It's not an exciting photograph, but it's done. And I think that's time because Duke is in the car and he's been in there a long time now. So I'd best get going. Oh. So my camera bag's quite a mess now because I've been throwing things all over the place as I take my pictures. I'm probably the least tidy photographer imaginable. Right, this is for you, so put that there. I've got a lens cap missing for this one. I do this every time. There we go. Okay. Okay. I'll take you and show you Duke, because I know lots of people like to see Duke, and he's not been in this video because dogs aren't allowed here. If you are coming here, the dogs can't go any further than the car park. I can understand why, it's not a complaint. I definitely understand why. So I will go at the car, let him out, and he should be happy. Hey, are you being a good boy? How's you? You're a good boy. Hey, how you doing? Did you want something? Did you? Did you want something? Yeah, Vicky, for being a good boy. Yeah, come on out then. Come on Right, oh, you got a lead. Got your lead. Good boy. There you go. Want to take a wee walk in the grass? Do you? Hey, so this is the car park. Only a few people left. All that area there to park in. Right, go be walkie then. You want to go be walkie? You're going to stop walking again.